Welcome to Wisdom of Book of Mormon. We're going to try to have a more cursory episode this time because, well, I have failed to do this the past couple of days. Haven't I been able to podcast too regularly because things have been topsy-turvy because of some grief coming on in my life. Now, that being said, here's what we're going to do. We are going to be looking at Alma chapter 1. And the title of this episode is called A Voice of the People. Okay? So, get ready. Because Alma is an amazing book. There's a lot of wonderful teachings there, but we need to get into... So here's what's going on here. In this chapter, there is obviously an instigator in the book of Mormon, and this guy's name is Nehot. He's teaching doctrines, he's establishing a church, he introduces priestcraft, and slays Gideon. So, of course, he's being executed for his crime, but priestcrafts and persecutions going on. Now, this is an interesting time. Okay, it's the reign of the judges. And if you think about it, I'm sure there was a variety of judges. But the voice of the people chose Alma. Okay? Of course, but then here comes an instigator named Nehot. I'm going to read here in verse 4. And this is Nehot. Also testified unto the people that all mankind should be saved at the last day, and that they need not fear nor tremble, but that they might lift up their heads and rejoice. For the Lord had created all men. Okay, so it's basically saying, hey, all men should be saved. Now, whose doctrine is that? Those of you in the church, you know, it's pre-existence. It's Satan's doctrine. That was his original intent in the Grand Council in heaven. And of course, in exchange for that, he wanted the glory of God. So here's Nehot trying to supplant Alma. So here he is teaching these things. And many of the people are starting to believe what he has to say. Doesn't that sound like something going on in our society today? I'm trying hard not to wax political, but in many ways it's propaganda. Now, here's Gideon. Now, this is a freedom fighter for the people of Limhi, you know. And Gideon was able to, okay, verse 9 says, and because Gideon withstood him with the words of God, he was wroth with Gideon and drew his sword and began to smite him. Now Gideon, being stricken with many years, therefore he was not able to withstand his blows. Therefore he was slain by the sword. Now, I know this story. What's going on here is Nehot was the first of what's a common theme in this chapter of kingmen spreading peacecrafts. And of course, the people bring him before Alma for slaying Gideon and causing this. And Alma, of course, by the voice of the people, condemned him to death. Now, in chapter 2, this is where it's interesting. There comes another king man causing trouble. He's willing, I think, even at times to even align with the Lamanites. Now, some people call him Anlici. I kind of want to call him Amaleki. Okay, because here he is, he's a troublemaker. He wants to be king, take Alma out, of the equation. Now, let's look at a few verses in Alma chapter 2. Therefore, if it were possible that Amaleki should gain the voice of the people, he being a wicked man, would deprive them of their rights and privileges of the church, for it was his intent to destroy the church of God. Okay, verse 5. And it came to pass that the people assembled themselves together throughout all the land, every man according to his mind, whether it were for or against Amaleki, in separate bodies, having much dispute and wonderful contention one with another. And thus they did assemble themselves together to cast in their votes concerning the matter. And they were laid before the judges. Now, verse here it is. And they came to pass that the voice of the people came against Amaleki, that he was not made king of the people. Okay, verse 8. Now this did cause much joy in the hearts of those who were against him. For Amaleki did stir up those who were in his favor to anger against those who were not in his favor. Okay, now we're going to go ahead, if you will, and I know I'm going ahead of myself because next week we're going to get past some of the history and go into more of the doctrine. Okay, so we're going to go to the Institute Manual of the Book of Mormon. You may say, well, why? Because the Institute manuals are full of The Institute manuals are full of doctrinal ideas. Now we're going to go, and you must say, well, why this big deal with Amalekite, Jimmy? Here's why. And I want you to think about this. Okay? What do I see in Amalekite? What I see is a degenerate form of narcissism. Okay? Because Mosiah and his sons have said, there will be no king. Okay, so you have Nehot, the first narcissist in the reign of the judges. What's he trying to do? He's trying to teach priestcrafts to how do we say it? To pervert the true doctrine. Because see, here's the thing. The voice of the people were against him. And in chapter 3, we know that Amalekite was slain. Now, Elder Ballard, he says this. He encouraged us to raise our voices against the wicked trends in our day. We need to remember Edmund Burke's statement. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Now, I know right now we got some serious issues with partisan wrangling, and this is something from Elder Ballard. He says, we need to raise our voices with other concerned citizens throughout the world in opposition to current trends. We need to tell the sponsors of offensive media that we have had enough. We need to support programs and products that are positive and uplifting. Joining together with neighbors and friends who share our concerns, we can send a clear message to those responsible. See, I think that's a wonderful idea. You know, and regardless of all the partisan wrangling going on, it kind of makes sense. You know, to go against the big corrupt forces that are trying to corrupt pure doctrine of Christ and pure liberty. Okay, I could go on for hours talking about this, but really and truthfully, this is important. You think about it. Sending letters and emails. Of course, our current generation, they're kind of like, well, we want to do text. You know, text, tweets, everything's real short. But thoughtful discourse is the name of the game. Okay, because here's the thing. If you don't have thoughtful discourse with the voice of the people being heard, then here's what we have in our current world right now. Pandemonium and chaos. Without respect to faith, without respect to liberty, and without respect to order. Hope you enjoy listening to the Wisdom of the Book of Mormon. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to become a part of the Wisdom of the Book of Mormon community. This is Jimi Hendrix saying until next time, remember who you are, read your scriptures, and please, please, please preach the gospel. God bless you. Remember this, from the bottom of my heart, Jimmy loves you. I really love you. God bless you, and have a blessed Sabbath.